Friday evening. Listen, it is so good to have you with us. As we today we have Shreveport City Councilman Mr. Willie Bradford, who's and we're going to be sharing so many pieces of conversation that has to do with both local and national state of African American communities, education, etc. And as you guys know how we do on this show, everyone that comes and visits with us have the opportunity to share whatever they feel. You know, we always ask you if you have any questions to ask our guest, that you are courteous and that you do understand that they are professionals who have been kind enough to come and just talk with us. So we're very happy to have all of each and every one of you here this evening. As we get ready to get started, feel free. We have two spots open, and I see looks like Dre has joined us. Dre, feel free to come on with us if you have any questions. We're happy that you're here. And to our guest, who should be following us on both Facebook and on YouTube. So this afternoon, again, this is the Nobody Asked Me Guys show. I'm your host, Melvin Lars, and we will be talking about a multiplicity of things. And as always, everything with us is education and even though it may be a little entertaining. So without further ado, we have Shreveport City Councilman Mr. Willie Bradford with us. And guys, let me give you a precursor here. This is a phenomenal gentleman. He's a phenomenal gentleman. He's been a hard worker and what a lot of people call community organizers ever since I have known of him and ever since I've known him. So we'd like to ask each and every one of you to welcome Mr. Willie Bradford. Mr. Bradford, how are you this evening, sir?
I'm well, brother Lars. How are you? I appreciate the opportunity to join you tonight.
I'm doing great, and I'm happy that you're here and that you have decided to join in with us, Mr. Bradford. And if you will, if you just kind of share with us a little bit, usually, I know people have a lot of canned questions they like to ask, and we never get to know many times about the Willie Bradford early years. Being in high school, what interested you to go in the direction that you're going. So if you don't mind, if you share with us briefly some of your background, just share with us whatever you want to share, and we will move forward.
All right, thank you again. Yeah, listen, my name is Willie Bradford, and actually it's Willie Bradford Jr. I was named after my dad.
Okay.
We lived in Allendale. I was born and reared in Allendale. Went to elementary school, Ingersoll. Then I went to J.S. Clark and Booker T. Washington, and we got, I had a pretty good childhood. My dad taught me how to work, and so we worked. After graduation, actually, I got married right at graduation. I got married when I was 18. Me and my wife, she was 17. We've been married for 48 years.
Wow.
We're happy. Yeah, we was high school sweethearts, and we stayed married. While I was young, my kids was young, I got involved with various activities, with the school. I was a Boy Scout troop leader up at Ingersoll during the 80s. Then I went on to become involved with community. We moved to Queensboro in 1975. Actually, I was one of the first African Americans to live on my street. I moved on Elon Street in '75, and I think there was only 3 or 4 blacks on the street. And I tell people, I say, Queensboro was once predominantly white, and they don't believe it. I say, yeah, we invaded Queensboro, stayed there, got involved. That was really when I really started getting involved. But actually, I was involved with the community stuff, like I say, from high school. I was a part of the youth council, NAACP, worked there. But when I got to Queensboro, we started having, back in the 80s, we started having drugs and gangs, and a lot of violence had infiltrated our community. I got with Lola May and Mildred Pugh and Rob Burrell, and we all got together and we created and started the Queensboro Neighborhood Association, which was a real good tool to help us eradicate some of those ills out of our community. And then, but in the interim, I've been a part of a lot of boards and committees throughout Shreveport. In 2014, I saw some things that I wanted to move forward on that took political interest. So I ran for the Shreveport City Council, and I won. And been serving. Ran for re-election in last year, 2018. Got re-elected. Now I'm still working, and I'm my interest now is that Shreveport is a predominantly black city. Well, not predominantly black, majority black, and we yet are not infused into the mainstream economics of Shreveport. I got a report last week from the Alice people from United Way, and Shreveport has a 58%, about 58% of our residents are either on or below the poverty level, and that's horrible. The majority of them are black. So economic inclusion, addressing economic inequities are one of my priorities. So that's sort of where I'm at right now.
Wow, that's great.
To do, yeah.
Yeah, that's very interesting. Will you share with us a little bit about what Alice is specifically? I have a vague idea of what it is, but some of our listeners may have questions about Alex. Can you just tell us a little bit about it and what it encompasses?
Yeah, Alice. I don't have the abbreviation right in front of me, but Alice is commissioned by the United Way of Northwest Louisiana. We're actually the United Way of Louisiana, and they go out and they review and assess the all the levels of quality of living levels, and they have given a report on all parishes throughout Louisiana, and they rate them on the statistics that they collect in regards to in regards to income, housing, poverty, and then they do a report and calculate the statistics, and they found that again that the median household income in Shreveport is about $60,000. Now you got to think about when you're talking about a median income of 60,000, that means that people that are making 100,000 plus, the people that's on fixed income, Social Security, whatever, you take those and you come up with an average of 60,000. That's not good. That's not good for this community.
Not at all.
So they gave us a report, and then also gave us some ideas on how we could improve that. But it starts with two basic services that we provide that we're gonna have to improve on. The first one is public safety. When people look at a community, they look at public safety and they look at public education. Okay, they want to feel safe, and they want to be assured that their children can get a quality education. And unfortunately, we've been having a spike in crime, and our school system is not up to where it needs to be. So those are the challenges. The first two challenges we need to do. Then the next part is economic opportunities. We have to maintain a workforce, but the main thing about workforce is that, again, African Americans are left out of the contracted procurement apparatus of Shreveport. So to grow workforce, we need to grow black businesses. Black business would most likely grow jobs. We lost a lot of quality jobs, blue collar jobs, General Motors, General Electric, Google Battery, Bill Poland. I'm looking at least 20,000 blue collar jobs that left Shreveport in the last 15 years. And so we got to work hard collectively with all of our governmental bodies as well as our business community and try to restore the economics of Shreveport that would make us a viable city again.
Well, wow, all those things that you're sharing are right on point. And we have talked about already about your reason for getting involved with the community activism, with the gangs and the unfortunate bad, if I can use the word bad elements that start to transpire within the neighborhood, etc., in which we all know that leadership makes a major difference. And since we've talked a little bit about education and city leadership, and we know we've just gotten a new mayor. If you will, if you just kind of give us an idea of what your version is as it pertains to leadership. You've already shared with us, and we'll be talking about that again, about the medium rate of income of 60,000, and many of our residents make 100,000 plus. Many of them are in situations, many of them being the individuals in the $60,000 range. or not that many. So if
Right
you will,
now.
we know this leads to leadership. If you talk with us a little bit about leadership, both on a local and national level, just as whatever you're comfortable with.
Well, let me start with the local level, and I'm gonna start outside of politics. Okay, a lot of what we're experiencing today is that we have become devoid of community leaders, if you will. If you talk to anybody, for instance, the Boy Scout, we cannot find men to get involved with boys, to help mentor boys and help direct boys. We need men to step forward and give back to the community and show themselves as leaders. I spoke to a group of matter of fact, I spoke twice. I spoke to some prisoners at CDC. And then last night I spoke with a group of students over at Bird High School. And I told them that the reason that we are suffering some of the things that we have suffered is because we as a village have put our village at risk. I'm a proponent of the African proverb, it takes a village to raise a child.
Yes.
And when we don't exercise that responsibility as adults, then the children find themselves without role models, without direction. In a lot of ways, they are raising themselves. So we need men and women who will to get involved with the community, get involved with schools, and show themselves, interested in these young people. They want somebody to help them. And then after that, then once you know be involved with the community, it's actually a training ground for you to move forward in the political apparatus. Because see, a lot of people that get elected to office, political office, just got enough votes to get elected, but they have no real community experience, involvement to understand the issues of the day, and that again suffers. We suffer from politicians who are not prepared to lead and to be legislators. So, but I say to everybody, again, I'm gonna quote Malcolm X when Malcolm said, "The future belongs to those who prepare for it today." If you want a future, you got to prepare for a future. You just don't get things served to you. The most effective leaders are prepared leaders. And the thing that impressed me about the young mayor, Mayor Perkins, is that he has shown leadership qualities throughout his life, his career actually. When he was in high school, he was the president of his class, senior class at Captain Shreve. He left there, went to West Point. He was the first African American who became class president of West Point. He went on to serve 2 tours of duty, 3 actually, in Afghanistan and Iraq, where he led 3 battalions. He was a commander. Then we got out of the army. He went to Harvard, and then became president of Harvard Law Class. His Harvard Law Class. So I'm like, man, you got DNA leadership in your DNA, and I'm really trusting and feeling that he's going to do a great job as mayor. He's only been in office for 45 days, so he's making some real good decisions, and we just going to work with him to make Shreveport better. Again, Shreveport, we got a lot to do. We still got issue with crime and violence, and like I say, poverty and unemployment. But he got on the plane last week actually and went to New York and met with some people and recruiting businesses and industries to look at Shreveport as a destination. So we're working and we all collectively got to work to make this city better.
That's great. That's great. Well, listen, I'd like to ask this question since we've been hearing so much about crime and seeing that there's so much crime in Shreveport. And I know that right now we have an acting police chief for Shreveport. And I know we just have a new mayor, as you're sharing, as our city council person. And again, let me stop and congratulate you on your reelection. Many of our guests that are watching are not aware that you had decided to step away and rest. And there was such a call for you to return. you decided to do that. So I just wanted our listeners to understand that you are certainly a phenomenal human being. You're certainly a phenomenal politician, and the people wanted you. You know, we didn't have to have someone to steal the election or anything of that nature. So I just wanted our listeners to know full well that. Now, if I can address again as far as crime. Now, I know that you've already shared with us that in the Queensboro area, being the first Black family to, I will sarcastically say, infiltrate the neighborhood.
Hey, I got a nice home at a very reasonable price. That's how I got there. Okay.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
As far as the crime in our cities,
Yeah.
what do you think are major issues? I know you've mentioned we can't find men to step up to the plate, but in our present state, are there any suggestions you might have that you think might help us to improve?
Well, certainly. I think again, community, it starts local. Okay. If you think about it, like I say, when I started the Queensboro Neighborhood Association, I was the first president. We had in Queensboro, we had gangs and violence and drugs and killings, and we didn't sit by and waited for somebody else to come in our community to solve our problems. We started a neighborhood association. We need more communities to start organizing themselves so that they can, address these issues amongst themselves. See, government love to involve themselves with people that are already working to help themselves.
Yeah.
So they don't want to come in. They don't want to come in and have to be the panacea. They want to come in and assist you in making your community better. Those are the models that government works. Now they have to address any issues that goes with quality of life. But I'm telling you, if you want a better community, get with your neighbors and get with your businesses in your community. You organize and you start to address some of your issues. Now, what happened in Shreveport that I need to say, is that we have allowed a subculture to be developed in Shreveport. When I say a subculture, we have a culture in Shreveport that has devalued their future. They don't think that life's gonna change. I was at a school, and I'll tell you what school it was. It was Cherokee Park.
Okay.
I don't know if it's not the incident, but I think you saw incident last week on where the juvenile courts charged some parents of not letting their kids go to school. Okay, at several schools, Jess Clark and Cherokee Park, we have such a tremendous amount of children who, well, first of all, they're in poverty. They're Title I schools. 95% of the students at Jess Clark and Cherokee Park, which is in my district, are on free lunch.
Mm-hmm.
That tells you something. Okay, the next thing it is that they are homeless. The percentage of homeless kids are phenomenal. People don't know that. For instance, at one of the schools, they got about 600 students, and about 125 are homeless. They live at They live in shelters.
125
of 600.
Wow.
And they live in poverty's house. Some even live in the car with their mom. I mean, it's a very horrible statistic. But my point is that if you look at some of these other factors, in that they live in some of these HUD projects, and they bring in their cousins and boyfriends, and that creates a very litigious environment. So there's a subculture that does not think that their future is bright. So they just live it out the way they live it out. They don't think their kids need to be educated. That's why you see all these payday loan companies pop up all over our communities, because they'll do anything to help get money. They don't have they work at McDonald's and Walmart, and they don't have benefits, and it's just a sad situation. So the criminal element festers on that kind of environment. And then again, we are more reactive as a police force and our government. We are proactive, and that's why I'm asking everybody to organize yourself, organize your communities, get involved with the schools, get involved with the PTA, and work to help make a difference. And then I promise you, government will be more willing and more receptive to doing even more, to be proactive in addressing some of these ills that we find ourselves as a community.
Wow. While we're on this topic, if I can, Councilman, what is your big, and I'm not asking for names, I certainly would not disrespect you nor them, but what would you say is one of your biggest disappointments about those in our city that have the title of leaders? And I'm not asking names or any specific person, but if you could share with us, what would be a major disappointment for you of one or several of those that have the title of leader and in leadership positions?
Right. Well, again, a title does not necessarily make you a leader. Okay. The only thing you are is an elected official. Okay. And to be an elected official, all you need to do is get 50% plus one vote in your elected officials. And if you're not prepared to go and fight for your community, and that's the problem we've had. We're at the bottom. When I say the bottom, that Shreveport has a $17.3 billion economy. $17.3 billion economy. Black businesses and black vendors and black contractors only receiving 1.2% of that economy. Okay, 1.2. We have no black real industries. We don't have black banks, so we take all our money. We got a lot of churches. We got over 300 churches. So we take all our money outside of our communities, and we wonder why our community is the way they are. And then we say it's somebody else's job. Okay. And I'm saying we cannot have, or we should not have, in the city of Shreveport, 60% of the population of Shreveport is African American, and yet we cannot legislatively make more opportunities for African American business, give them incentive to grow. We cannot or should not have 70% of Kettle Parish students are African Americans, and yet over 50% of the schools that we have in our communities, in the inner city communities, are either D or F schools, which I would consider challenging or failing schools. And yet we have the leadership, supposed leadership of elected officials and other people in upper leadership management in both the city and in the parish school board, as well as our parish commissioners. We all collectively need to have a black agenda. I'm gonna just be honest with you. If this city was made up of 60% Hispanics, they would be working to make their community more viable. Okay, if this city was made up of 6% Japanese, they would work to make themselves more viable. But we have elected officials. Over half of the elected officials in Shreveport, over half the elected officials are African American. Our destiny is in our own hands. We cannot make excuses and blame somebody else when all we have to do is have the courage and the awareness and the fortitude to start legislating our bodies, collective bodies, into doing more to help Black people. It ain't no shame to do it. We just got to do it because we are the majority of a city, but yet we are the poorest citizens in the city. And you cannot be a viable city. You cannot grow as a city when the majority of your citizens are as poor citizens.
Right. Wow. Well, Councilman, with education always being a hot topic, and because as you know, I'm a former educator.
Sure.
It's always a hot topic. Fraught with frustrated parents and students and our community at large. In your opinion, where is our biggest area of need to eradicate some of the frustration? Parents are upset.
Well, again, now the tragedy is, or travesty rather, is that those parents who could afford to move their kids to a better school, a so-called better school, they do that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and back in the '70s when the integration started, the Kettle Parish School Board created what you would call an M&M transfer. Minority to majority. They created a system where you had magnet schools. Those are components that the Kettle Parish School Board created. Mm-hmm. So those parents that could afford to educate them kids, which is they have to. I mean, you only have one chance to educate your child, so you want to try to provide them with the best education. But what happened was they allowed the best educators, teachers, and principals to be transferred out of the inner city schools, and they went into environments where, even though it was more middle class elitist, so we left these inner city schools void of quality teachers and students who could serve as role models. So again, that left us with a lot of our schools do not have certified teachers. We have turnover in principalships. So the continuity is not there when you're dealing with a child that's from a broken home or impoverished community. And so most of it, we find ourselves struggling yearly to maintain that quality of education. Education is the key. Again, I'm saying that when we have a dropout rate in Kettle Parish that is as high as the graduation rate, we got a problem. When we have more young people in the juvenile detention center that's maxed out, they have to give them a shorter sentence so they can rotate them. And then the same thing with CDC. If we was to take on the village, we raise a village. The African proverb, it takes a village. If we take on that concept and we start to collectively working with our children, then I promise you, it's proven that all of these juvenile detention centers and all these other homes that are prepared for wayward children would not be needed. We have churches, we have other entities within our community that should be willing to be mentors, to be places of comfort and convenience for these kids. I told the principal at Jazz Club just the other day, I said, listen, I understand the challenges of educating, but if you're in an elementary school and your child goes to church and goes to Sunday school, the Sunday school teacher or the Sunday school class should be a prerequisite for coming to school. If you go to Sunday school, the teacher ought to help you to learn how to read. You should not be not reading in the third or fourth grade if you involved in other parts of the community. So I'm just saying we need those entities to step up and help in education, because we will not again attract the kind of job that we have here when those jobs who are willing to come south are looking at the statistics of Shreveport and Kettle Parish and saying the dropout rate is high, the schools are failing, crime is high, and all these other factors. You think they want to be attracted to come to Shreveport? I'm just saying that's the reality of reality of today.
You're right.
And people say, well, why don't we get new new companies? There's companies that are in Dallas and Houston and Grand Prairie and Arlington and Fort Worth, and they say, well, we can't get them even in Longview. And I say, well, it's the same thing. Companies, when they want to come to an area, they look at the medium household income. They look at the salary structure, and if they would not bring a product into a community if they feel like the residents of the community can't support them.
Right.
They're not coming here just to be pretty. They come here to make money.
Right.
And if we want the quality of life, we don't have, I got a friend who just came here from Dallas to work. She got 2 kids with her. And she said she almost go back to Dallas every weekend because there's nothing here for her kids to do. Her age kids. And that's partly true. We don't have the wholesome environment for young people to really go to. Not again, if you're upper middle class, you can pretty much create what you want to create. But if you're living in a city where your mama work at Walmart and McDonald's, and I need to mention also that 70%, 72% of Black households in Shreveport are single parent, and the single parent is the mother who has multiple jobs, basically kids in different schools, and then and she can't get off her job to go to PTA meeting. That's why we need that. We need that extended family member, that extended neighbor, to be surrogates for some of these kids and help them achieve. Because if we don't do it and turn it around, we're just gonna be in trouble down the road.
Wow. Okay. If I can segue into our next question here, and as a former administrator, I have often heard people refer to some of our least effective administrators as nice people. Now, while refusing to address their incompetencies, what would you suggest to those individuals? And I may I just share with you, before I returned back to Louisiana to Shreveport, I worked in Los Angeles High School at George Washington High School with Dr. George McKenna. Most people have seen Joe Clark and Lean on Me. Well, I was the Dr. George McKenna story aired in 1986. Denzel Washington played the part of my mentor and my principal, George McKenna. I was his athletic director, head football coach, and administrative assistant. And I just have a very, and I'll be honest with you, council member Bradford, I'd like your opinion about that, because I'm just worn out saying to me, like, well, Mr. X is a nice person, Miss X is a nice person, but when it comes to them being leaders and effective administrators, then it's silence. But we allow that to happen in our communities. Why do you think that's so?
We do that because we are not, and I guess it's a thing that started way before we was born. We are more inclined to like people than we are to hold them accountable. Okay. We like you. We elect you because we like you. We put up with you because we like you. When you're in some professions, okay, if you're in some professions, accountability is a part of the equation. You cannot. Everybody get evaluated. Everybody get evaluated. Or should get evaluated. And you grow by whoever your superior is. They have to be completely honest. They have to give you the good, the bad, and the ugly. If they're not giving you a transparent look at yourself or your abilities in your career, then you're gonna think you're doing okay when you're not doing okay. You have to give people a fair evaluation so that they can improve themselves. Okay, you want people to know. I mean, you would want to know. Now, if you get old in your career and you just want to make a couple more years to get through, then that may be okay. But you cannot, as a leader, as a principal, or as a superintendent, or as a director of secondary, high school, middle school, elementary education, when you have to go out and assess and review your students or your teachers or your principals, you got to be honest with them. And you got to tell them, listen, you got to improve on this. This is unacceptable. This is unacceptable. What do you need? I want to help you. Tell me what you consider that you need to improve yourself. Give them an opportunity to improve, evaluate them again in 45 days and see if are they working on their weaknesses. But everybody should be held accountable for the position or the job. Same way with city council people. Okay. Same way with state legislators. Same way with anybody that is representing our communities, we should hold them accountable. In politics, the evaluation of politics is every 4 years when you go before the people. The people should not re-elect you. You ain't done nothing. You should have a record of what you tried to do. You're not always going to be so selfish because you need the votes to do it. But you can at least fight. You know, you can at least fight. Let them know that you're fighting. And now, like I say, with Shreveport now having a black mayor and 4 black council persons, and with the parish commission and the school board having equal amount of representatives, we can make a difference. We can't pass that no more. We can't make excuses. The expectations of black politicians should grow, and we should be held accountable. And people should not just be saying, "Oh, you're doing a good job," when we're not doing a good job. You know, understand the issues, and hold us accountable for what we're not doing.
Wow. 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 That's
I'm honest, and that's the way that's what I have to do. I have subordinates, and if I was not to be honest with them and give them a fair assessment of the situation, they're gonna be thinking they're doing okay when they're not doing okay, and that's gonna hurt them, because if somebody come behind me and say, you know, he gave you some good marks, and yet you don't know the basis of what this job entails, they're gonna say, wait a minute, how you got away with this so many years? You have people grow by being evaluated and honestly given the tools or the information they need or the training they need to improve themselves. That's what life is about, improving yourself.
You know what, Councilman Bradford, I'm loving it. I'm loving it. I'm loving the answers, because that is where I was always trained, and as an administrator, as a teacher, just as a person. So, you know, I'm so happy that, and I'm sure our audience, you know, I on our other side here, I see somebody giving you some thumbs up. So I'm just happy to know that you are upright and you're just sharing that for the whole. Now, I've earlier, you already addressed our mayor. I was going to ask a question about the mayor, and I just wanted, you know, I know recently he was sworn in. In your opinion, is this good for the city? And I think in your previous opinion, you've already told us that it's good for the city. And I guess the question I'd like to ask is do you? I know you told me that he had just joined the plane, gotten on the plane recently. Brother Ryan, thank you for joining us, brother. Feel free to jump in with any questions that you might have. We have Shreveport City Councilman Willie Bradford. Brother Bradford, I just want to give Brother Ryan a little quick background here. Brother Bradford has been a community organizer since way back in the 80s, and he's a very, very distinguished gentleman in our community, in our city of Shreveport. And he, as you can tell from his comments he made earlier, you know, he just kind of lays it on the line and tell it like it is. So I just want to kind of give you a little insight on, excuse me, Councilman Bradford, but glad you decided to join us, Brother Ryan.
Oh, thank you. I just wanted to come and say hi. I'll watch in the comment section.
Well, listen, you're more than welcome to stay. If you have any questions for Councilman Bradford, I'm sure he'll be happy to welcome those questions. So you don't have to go back unless you just feel more comfortable doing that, but you're certainly welcome to stay with us.
Okay,
man,
sounds
Ryan,
good.
Is Ryan, you live in Shreveport? Do Ryan live in Shreveport?
Do I live where?
In Shreveport. Are you a Shreveport native? Are you in Shreveport
no, I'm
now?
not. I'm Canadian.
Oh, you in Canada?
Yeah, I'm in Canada.
Okay.
Yeah, Alberta, Calgary, Alberta.
Oh, wow. Okay. All right. So
so that's why I was going to hop out, because I'm probably not relevant for the conversation. But you know, I just always find it. I like to hear the elders speak, and you know, to talk about the community building. It's just it's an interest of mine anyway. So you know,
well, Ryan,
you know,
I'm going to
really appreciate to be here.
I'm going to disagree with you when you say you're probably not eligible for the conversation, because what's happening here is City Councilman Bradford is just dropping knowledge for any place USA, any place Canada, any place Russia, etc. So you are certainly eligible for the conversation, because that's what we're talking about now, the leadership and crime and the whole nine. So again, I do respect whatever you're comfortable with, whether you want to stay on
For
with us
sure.
visually, but you're more than welcome. So if I can segue to this question, back to Councilman Bradford here. You know, I've seen newspaper articles and heard you share. I heard you personally share your frustrations, Councilman Bradford, for many years about our lack of economic growth, about us needing a safer city, better schools, and we've kind of talked about this earlier. Are you relatively comfortable that difference makers are listening, and you know the individuals that we are addressing? As a matter of fact, I just put up another advertisement last night where you and three of your colleagues were doing a sit-in at the school board several years ago. So if you share with us a little bit about that, do you think people are listening?
There are some that's listening, and that therein lies our biggest problem, brother Lars, is that we are not willing to sacrifice to make our community better, our children better, give a better life, or give a better future for our kids. And I find in the millenniums, see, you and I talked before we came on the air our experiences in the 60s and the 70s. We were both involved with segregated schools. We was in one race communities, and we had good experiences. You know, then integration came about. Schools, you know, got integrated, and but we always reflected on where we came from. You know, the quality of life. You know, our parents didn't make a lot of money, but the quality of our lives, the neighborhoods, the neighborly, the friendships, the caring from everybody, the village that we talked about. See, the millenniums can't relate to that. They didn't have those experiences, and that's what's hurting us now. Okay, and that we got to, you know, I mean, Frederick Douglass said it clearly that nothing comes without a struggle. You know, it never have and never will. We got to fight for what we gonna get in this life, and I'm saying if you don't have struggle in you, and we can't struggle when we dependent upon. I mean, we can't make a difference when we dependent upon other people for our livelihood, because it's going to always scare us back into our corner. You know, the reason that a lot of things can't happen is that we're scared of our job, we're scared of our friendships, we don't call it out like we need to call it out. So we let fear overcome us. But think about the people, and this is Black History Month. Think about the folks that sacrificed, even here in Shreveport. They gave us a better opportunity, but we expected for everybody to do it but ourselves. That's what frustrates me. You ask me what frustrates me is that I see people see me fighting, see other people fighting, and yet they will not come out of the house to help fight. The incident you saw on the school board with me and my friends went out to the school board because there was an injustice on the school board at the time, okay? And we would not sit by and allow that injustice to be perpetrated on Black men at the time. So we went down and we protested, and they would not hear us. So we sat on the floor and started singing and praying until they adjourned the meeting, okay? Then we went back down there and they started to negotiate with us. They say, listen, because of your civil disobedience, you know, people will listen to you if they know you're serious. You can't walk in there, raise a little hell with the people, and then walk out and say, I told them. No, you didn't tell them. You're only gonna tell them when you show by your actions that you're serious about your community. You're serious about your young people. And just hollering and screaming on the mic and then walking out when you get through hollering and screaming is not the way it's done. So I'm just saying that's what frustrates me. I'm saying that Black businesses in this city is drying up. black contractors don't want to fight for themselves. I'm like, who else they gonna hire? I got people that's being devoid of opportunities, and yet they won't fight for themselves. I'm saying we got to fight for each other. We got to show a collective willingness to advocate for ourselves and our children. It ain't gonna happen no other way. Okay, I'm saying the elephant in the room. The elephant in this room is always going to be race. Oh, don't forget that. Okay? Yes. If you don't believe me, ask Donald Trump. Ask the people that are suffering now from Donald Trump's behaviors. Okay. Yes. He brought them out, didn't he not? Did he not bring out some elements that we thought was buried? That was buried. And I'm saying, so we got to understand that it's on us to make a difference in our lives.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Councilman Bradford, you are hitting the nail on the head, because you know what? This may be out of line, but I've said to my wife, since we have returned back to Louisiana, we've been back 5 years now, and I said to her just recently, as a matter of fact, I said to her more than once, I said, you know, it amazes me, and I'm sharing this with you because of what you were saying now. I said, it amazes me that you have two individuals such as us with experience and that want to help. And every time we offer our help, it is rejected. I told her, I said, I can't understand it, because it's about the children. It's not about Melvin, Lars. It's not about my wife. I said, but it just amazes me. So when you share what you shared, and it certainly hit home, and I felt comfortable asking you that question because I knew you would tell it straight. I'm just gonna be honest with you.
No, listen, and I'm saying that again, we are stuck in this mindset that of feeling threatened. Okay, so we'll let things stay the same before we would bring in new ideas, you know, new challenges, because again, you know, everybody wants to do their thing, you know. And another thing that we separate ourselves. Back when again, I'm gonna use that as an example very briefly, is that and we was all one class. Okay, okay. In my neighborhood, the preachers, the teachers, the poor people, the truck drivers, everybody lived in that neighborhood. Okay, now we have separated ourselves. We got the middle class living somewhere. We got the lower class living somewhere. You know, we got other classes in gated communities, and yet everybody come back to the community for church, and then we drive back out. Oh, we drive back out. We drive in on Wednesdays and Sundays, and we act like we are the Levite and the priest who walk by, see their brother on the side of the road, yet we walk on the other side as though we don't see that. And I'm saying, we cannot feel like we have arrived to the extent that we can't reach over and pick up a brother or sister and help them move forward. That's I know you didn't call to talk, but this Black History Month, so I can say.
No, yes, I did. Yeah, no. That's
and I'm just saying. Remember, so now we have the upper class. They want to party at the time. They want to be involved with all these crews and sororities and fraternities. Then we have the working class who struggles every day, and they can't be a part of these other extracurricular activities because they don't have the money. Then we have the lower class, which I told you before that I classify as the underclass that we have allowed to create, that doesn't care about anything. They would rob you if they saw a chance to do it. Yeah. Because they don't see a future for themselves. Yeah. But yet there's a neutralizing element that we should be all a part of, and that is the church and the love that Christ have commanded us to do. But we have taken on the characteristics of our oppressor, that we don't care about other people, even at every element. And I tell you this, and I know we're coming close. I tell people this when it comes to politics. The reason that the underclass can never be addressed, whether it's national politics, state politics, or local politics, is because they can't get elected. Nobody from that class represent themselves because they can't put the means together to get there. I am so proud of this congressman from New York, Alexander
Ocasio.
Yeah.
Ocasio.
Okay. She's bringing in a new voice. Yes. And it's a voice that represents her constituents. And I'm saying you have to be represented by people that think like you and have your values, the same values, to be successful. We are all from that block, but we found ourselves coming in a way of different chips. But I just want to say thank you for this opportunity, and I hope I said something that could be encouraging, or at least give a new light on some issues in Shreveport.
Yes, you did. Because listen, Councilman, you're not through yet. We have Sybil joined us. Sybil said amen when you to some of your comments here, but you're not quite done yet. We have a few more things we want to talk to you about.
I don't see Sybil. Just where's she at?
She didn't take a camera. She said she'd rather watch. Okay. She didn't take a camera, but I told her that she was welcome to take a camera. Okay. And let me see, Sybil, where are you from? If you don't mind telling us, come on, talk with us, or put it in the box over here. But feel free to come on and talk with us. Sybil is from Alabama.
Alabama.
Yes, sir. Yeah. But Councilman, recently I watched a clip of you the other day from several years ago when you addressed the audience at the State of the Shreveport Summit. And I was going to ask you for a synopsis, but I know that'll take a long time. Will you tell us a little bit about that? You know, about and we've already talked about the State of Shreveport and leadership and things as that nature. Watching that clip, actually, I was there physically, and I heard you speak live. And as I was watching that clip, you know, just wondered if you might address that briefly, because you certainly had some powerful things to say.
Yeah. Well, again, I am consistent in this. My number one priority is to do everything I can to help address the issue of economic inequality in Shreveport. Okay, that's my issue. We cannot grow as a people if we don't have economics within our community. And I was trying to exhort the people there, and it's a very simple. And again, people hear this, but yet it doesn't motivate them to move. I said then, I'm gonna say again, that if we believe in the cliche that money talks, how long you been hearing that? All your life.
Forever. Yes,
so if we believe in money does talk, if money talks, then Black Shreveport has nothing to say.
Wow. Now that's powerful. That's powerful. Wow.
I'm telling you again that the poverty level in Black Shreveport is over 50%. If money talks, we have nothing to say. People don't respect you if you don't have the resources to come to the table, not with your hand out,
right,
but as a co-partner, and let's make Shreveport better. Okay, let's make Shreveport better. We have the politics. Most of these bodies are Black. We have the population. We have opportunity. It's time now. It's time now for us to set aside our differences. To set aside. I don't like Melvin, Lars. I don't like Willie Bradford. I don't go to Allendale. I don't go to the Cooper Road. Them people on Cooper Road ain't nothing but this. Listen, there are some people that see all of us alike. They don't see us from different areas. If you don't believe me, ask Barack Obama.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. He was the president for 8 years. For 8 years, they kept reminding him every day that he was what?
Negro, Black, nigger, whatever they want to call it.
They reminded him every year.
Yes.
And since he's been out of office, his predecessor have every chance he get have tried to what? It has
Destroy
tried to
legacy.
destroy everything that he fought to get, to reverse every key legislation that he passed. And I'm saying it's the elephant is in the room in America. Yeah. It's always the race. You know, who said the issue of the 21st century was going to be the race issue, and now the issue of the 22nd century is also the race issue. And I'm just saying, and we can't keep pretending that it ain't real. We got to address it head on.
Right.
You know. Yeah.
Right.
So I'm just saying to my family and my city, my constituents, and all through Shreveport, y'all, we got to step it up. We cannot be afraid to make a difference for our children. If not for your children, if not for yourself, let's do it for the next generation. Let's work hard to make a difference in the lives of this. We ain't going nowhere. We're gonna continue to have challenges, okay? But this city can be a viable city. You know, we on a river. We got interstate systems. We can make a difference if we only put our minds and our hearts into it.
Wow, we're very well put. Listen, a perfect way to close out this broadcast. Councilman Willie Bradford of Shreveport City Councilman Willie Bradford. Listen, I was remiss because I didn't share the district that you represent.
Okay, I represent Shreveport Council District A, which consists of parts of Allendale, Lakeside, parts of Queensboro. It consists of all of the MLK area. It consists of an area around the lake, and it consists of Cherokee Park, North Highlands, all the way up to the parish line of Highway 1.
It's a large area. I never realized that the represented area was all of those areas. Wow, that's a lot of covering.
And plus, my residential numbers is about 18,500 residents that's a part of my district.
Yes,
18,000. Yeah, and like I say, if you look at the industry of it, and the diversity of people in it, 70% of my residents are Black, and 40% of those are impoverished Black.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, listen, Councilman, it's been just great having you. If anyone I know that there are many people out there would just like to contact you to get some wisdom, or even though they don't live in your district, is there any information you would like to share if they would like to contact you just for some wisdom, or maybe to invite you?
They can email me at in my city council email. I'm on Facebook. Willie, my council Facebook page is A, which is District A Willie Bradford. A Willie Bradford. Okay. My email address is willie.bradford at Shreveport, LA. That's all one word. .gov. Okay. And my city phone address is 510. Hold on, wait a second. You know, I can't remember my wife's phone number without me looking it up.
That's all right.
I'm sorry.
No, that's okay.
Just call 673-5262. I can be reached at the city council office. 673-5262. Okay.
All right. Well, listen, Councilman Bradford, it certainly has been great. And for all of our viewers, we want to say to you that we really appreciate you taking the time to watch City Councilman Willie Bradford. As you can see, he's a dynamic individual. He's a man that we all need to know. Again, this is the Nobody Asked Me Guys show. I'm Melvin Lars. You can contact me at www.dyingonmyfeet.com. www.dyingonmyfeet.com. Once you get to that website, you will notice that we have many social media buttons there that you can mash. Yes, I'm a writer. I am a poet. I do a weekly column for a company called the Good Men Project. I write for 3 African American magazines. So we do this, and this show has been premiering now for 5 weeks. Upcoming on our show, we have none other than the first African American Super Bowl winner, Doug Williams, who will be with us. We also have Donnie Little, who's the first African American quarterback to ever attend and star at the University of Texas. And if you know anything about Texas history, during that time in the mid 70s, that was unheard of. We also have already had many known celebrities with us. So we just simply ask that on Friday nights, if you're not busy, you're not doing anything, come back and join us or check our schedule. So with that, we're going to bid you adieu. It's been very great having Ryan, Sybil, and we know that a lot of other people.
Thank you, Ryan and Sybil.
All right, Councilman Bradford, I want you to know that you're getting tons of thumbs up on my other site, and you're getting tons of hearts. So a lot of people are agreeing and loving what you are sharing. So
I so appreciate this. Like I say, the good thing about it is unrehearsed. So you got it. You got it the way I have it in my heart. Okay.
Absolutely. And this broadcast will be ending in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.